So in case of key influencer, what happens is, if I want to understand what are the columns affecting, or what are the columns that are influencing my column values, then in that case I can use the key influencer. Okay, key influencer entirely is an AI visualization. Okay, so AI visualization in the sense, you just pull the fields, the visualizations and the graphs, everything analysis is automatically created for you. You don't have to do anything for that. Okay, so for that you can use that key influencer. Okay, so for key influencer, let me take one table. So I have this customer table with me, where multiple customers have rated me based on my work, and some have rated me as high, some have rated me as low. I want to understand when the customers are giving me high rating and when the customers are giving me low rating. So in such cases I can use the key influencer. Okay, so let me load this customer table here. Okay, the data is loaded. So let me show you the data. This is the customer table which has the customer data. Okay, so in this case, you can see what are the different details mentioned for this. Okay, so here customer ID, then the total tenure in months of customer is mentioned, geographical ID, completed tutorial, yes or no, that is mentioned here, subscription ID, role, company ID, then I have this rating column, and then I have this theme column, and then I have this feature column. Okay, so let's say I want to understand this rating column. Okay, so this rating column has two values here. Okay, one is high, the other is low. Okay, so what I want to do now is, I want to understand how this low rating works or how this high rating works, and how customers are giving me high rating, how customers are giving me low rating, and so on. So in that case, okay, what I can do is what I can do here is I can use the key influencer to analyze this high and low rating column. Okay, so it will help me understand when the customers give me high rating and when the customers give me low rating. So this is my key influencer. So when you click on key influencer, the fields that you see are totally different than what you have seen so far. So there is no axis, there is no value. What you have here is analyze, explain by, and expand by. Okay, so usually in case of the analyze by, okay, so yeah, in case of analyze by, the column that you want to understand, the column you want to analyze, you put it that in the analyze by section. Okay, the next thing is explain by. Like I said, this is your key influencer. So in key influencer, what you actually want to understand is how the key influencer is affecting your values, right? So In order to understand this, you'll have to drag all the respective columns here in the explain by section. If these two columns, if analyze and explain by are related, it will show us an information. Okay, so in the customer table, the column that I want to analyze is the rating. Okay, so let me add the rating column here. The moment you add rating column, see what happens. The key influencer starts analyzing the data, and based on the analyzing, it has prepared a question. Now in rating column, if you remember, we have two values, one is high, the other is low. So that is why if you see here, the question that is coming up or the popping up here is what influences rating to be high and what influences rating to be low. Okay, so in this case, you can click on high rating or you can click on low rating and you can analyze this. But in order to analyze when the customer is giving us high rating or when the customer is giving us low rating, we need to add the fields in the explain by section. So this is my explain by sections. Okay, so you can see there is no analysis being done because the explain by section is totally empty. Now let me add the analysis here. So let me add this tenure field in the explain by section. See what happens. If you carefully see here, what it is trying to do is it is trying to understand how high rating is influenced by tenure. In this case, no visualization needs to be prepared. Automatically, the analysis would be done. And if the columns are related, the analysis would be presented. So if you can see, the analysis is done and this graph is automatically prepared. If I want to read this analysis, how do I read it? I read it like this. When my tenure is between 0 to 29, the likelihood of rating being high increases by 1.17 times. And to prove that, it has plotted this visualization automatically. So on the y-axis, you have percentage rating, and on the x-axis, you have the tenures. So 0 to 0 or less, 0 to 29, more than 29, like that. So those are the tenures that are available to you that are mentioned here. Okay, and to prove that, it has plotted and it is showing here that when your tenure is between 0 to 29, then you get the percentage rating very high. So that means more people give you higher rating when your value of tenure column is between 0 to 29. Now this was related to your high rating. If I add the low rating column here, or if I change the question to what influences rating to be low, you can see it is running the analysis, and after the analysis it is saying when your tenure is more than 29, the likelihood of rating being low increases 2.86 times. So this is 2.86 times. So what it is saying is whenever your customer crosses more than 29 tenure, okay, then usually he gives you rating low rating, and it is probably 3 times more than the normal case. Okay, so more than once, 3 times chances are that he is going to give you the rating. And to prove that point, it has automatically plotted this visualization where you can see when the customer's tenure is more than 29, it is usually giving you more low rating. So that is the reason. Apart from that, there is one more analysis here when tenure is 0 or less. So when you click on tenure is 0 or less, it will show you the analysis for tenure or 0 or less. Okay, so like that, no matter what many columns you add, it will analyze it and it will give you the result. For example, I've added tenure. Now I will add theme. I will add completed tutorial also. Let me add the completed tutorial here also. Yeah, you can see based on the analysis and based on the likelihood, automatically the results are returned. So you can see apart from tenure, theme is also related to rating. That means when my theme is usability, chances are customer are going to give me low rating. Similar to this, when completed tutorial value is no, then 2.2 times people are going to give me low rating. When my theme is security, 2.09 times people are going to give me the low rating. This 2 times, 3 times, you can consider it as 100% or 200%, like that. So when your tenure is more than 29, that means 300% chances are customer is going to give you low rating. When your completed tutorial is no, that means almost 220% chances are customer is going to give you the low rating, like that. Okay, so like this, with the help of key influencer, you can analyze your data. Okay, you can analyze how the value is affected. If I'm not using a specific column here, but instead I'm using a calculated value, then in that case we use this expand by section. Okay, As of now, we are not using this expand by section, but yeah, you can use this. Okay. So like this, you can understand how the value is affected as low, how the value is affected as high. Now, what is the real use case of this visualization? The real use case is in banks, right? I give you a customer data, okay, and based on that customer, I tell you these are the list of customers that has subscribed to our offering, and these are the list of customers who have not subscribed to our offering. I give you both in one single sheet. Now I tell you to analyze the user behavior to improve our offering. So in that case, what we can do is we can use the key influencer to understand when the customer is buying our product and when the customer is not buying our product. So with the help of that, the bank can analyze it, bank can change their strategy, okay, and based on that they can decide whether what to offer, what not to offer. Okay. Another use case is your support tickets. We lot of times call the customer support, right? Different customer support, and we rate them high, low, none, different ratings. We good, bad, better, worse. Those type of ratings is what we give. Now if they want to analyze when the customer is giving them good rating, when the customer is giving them bad rating, when the customer is giving them worse rating, then in such cases also they can use the key influencer to understand the rating. Okay. Clear with this? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, like I said, if I give you a bank data, you analyze it and you tell me, sir, these are the factors which are affecting the customer buying, and these are the first factors or columns which are affecting the customer not buying. Now if I ask you, okay, that is fine, but the next thing that I need is I will need the group of customers which are not buying, and I need the group of customers which are buying based on your analysis. So for that you have the top segment here. Okay, what top segment does is based on your value. For example, I'm analyzing the low value now. So based on your low value, it will create these segments for you. So these are the 4 segments that it has created. So what I can do is I can give these low segments to my salespeople to improve my rating. Okay, same is the case you can do in your bank offering also. If I give you the list of segments of customers which are not buying, you can talk to them and you can perhaps convince them to buy the offering. That is how you can do it. Okay, so this is the segments. You can see the total number of rows in each segment. So this is the total number of rows in segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4, and in each segment how many percentage people are giving us low rating. So this is the biggest segment where out of 2000 points, close to 36,000, 40,000 I can consider this, and close to 800 people are giving me low rating, right? Same is the case here. In this case, this is the next bigger segment. Out of 4,500, almost 20% people are giving me low rating, so close to 900 people, and then so on. So like this, if I give these segments to my salespeople, they can reach out to those clients and they can improve our offering or improve our feedback. Okay, so how do I know which segment is this? You just click on the bubble. When you click on the bubble, automatically it will show you the segment details. So segment 1 is where completed tutorial is no and tenure is greater than 29. Okay, so in this case, wherever the user has not seen the tutorial or user has not completed the tutorial, or the tenure value is greater than 29, usually there people have given you low rating, and this has close to 2000 data points. That means 2000 rows, 2156 to be precise. Okay, and out of that 36% people, that means close to 900 rows are where people have given you low rating. So if you force your customer to see the tutorial, then eventually your rating can improve. Similar is the case with the second segment. When you click on second segment, you see the details of second segment. So here second segment is completed tutorial no, tenure less than equal to 29, and theme is speed. So that means whichever user is using the theme speed, he is complaining. So if I can hear the customer complaints and sort that out, then eventually my rating can improve, like that. Okay, so your key influencer will always give you the details about the columns and their values which are affecting our main column, but the top segments will give you the data in groups or in segments on which we can actually work along with the client or along with the customer. Okay, that is one of the reasons key influencer is used. So whenever I have data but I don't know where to start, I don't know where to analyze, what to analyze, then in that case I can use this. Another case is where I have to analyze the data and I'm not sure where to start. So in that case I can pull my target column, and based on target column I can decide it. Okay, any questions here? This is a bit tricky to understand, but yeah. Anyone, any questions? Okay. Moving on. Um, the next visualization that we will see is your Q&A. Okay. So as the name suggests, it is just a Q&A. Okay. So in case of Q&A, we don't have to prepare anything. This is again a an AI related visualization. So when I click on Q&A, okay, you will see it is automatically preparing the Q&A. So in case of Q&A, what happens is all the data that is loaded in your Power BI report is automatically analyzed, and then it is like a chatbot to which you can ask any number of questions. Okay, so here you can ask any sort of questions that you want to ask. If you want to prepare your own set of questions for the customers or for the end user, you can also do that. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, so you can see there are certain suggestions which are given here in the blue color. Those are what we call it as suggestions. Okay, I'm just formatting it so that you guys can see it in bigger font. Yeah, so let's say I have this data and I want to count the total number of customers. What I do is I just write total customers and I press enter. The moment you press enter, automatically it will search the customer table and it will give you the answer. So the total customers as of now that you have in this data is 45,218. That is why if you see the visualization, it is also showing you 45.22. Now let's say I want to see the total customers. Okay, by theme. So when I type total customers by theme, as you know, whenever you use the word by, automatically the bar diagram is prepared. So in this case, you can see automatically the visualization is prepared. Okay, let's say I like this visualization and I want to continue it from here. I want to turn this Q&A into my visualization. For that, you have this button here called as turn this Q&A result into a standard visual. So you click here and you can see the visualization is converted into your clustered bar chart. And if you want to go back, click on the Q&A and you are back to your question. So this is your total clustered by theme. Similar to this, if I want to see total clustered by completed tutorial, I can see it from here. Okay, now every time whenever you use this, it is preparing the bar diagram. Now let's say if I want to prepare pie chart, so for that just type space and write as pie. The moment you write this gets converted into pie. If I write as donut, so donut. So this gets converted into donut. If I want this as table, I can convert this into table also. I can sort this also. See, sort total customers by completed tutorial as table. So it is sorted like that also. So you can sort it, you can show the data also. Okay, so here all you have to do is ask the question, and based on that it will give you the result. Okay, now let's say I want to change these suggestions. These are the suggestions which are prepared automatically. For example, if I select this, how many ratings are there, you can see it is giving me the count. So these are some of the suggestions that are auto populated. If I say average tenure, the average tenure is 16.71. If I say sort customer table by rating, it will sort it and it will give me the value like that. Okay, but let's say I want to prepare my own questions, my own suggestions. Then for that, click on this setting icon. Okay, when you click on this setting icon, we will see the suggestions. Okay, this is rolling up now. Yeah, so in here you have field synonyms, you have review question, you have teach Q&A, and so on. So the first thing is field synonym. So in the field synonym, what I can do is I can add a synonym to my table. Okay, so let's say I have this customer table. Okay, so in this customer table, what I want to do is I want to show the list of customers. So this is my customer table. Now what happens is I refer to as customer table, but when my manager logs in, what he does is instead of saying customer, he says subscribers, and he tries to chat with the chatbot and asking the questions like uh, total subscribers. That is what he asks. So in that case, my Q&A fails to answer that. So in that case, what I want is, in case of subscriber or in case of customer, it should refer to this same customer table. So for that, you can add the synonym. So synonyms are nothing but the aliases that you are creating for your tables and columns. So you can create alias for your table, you can create alias for your customer also. So in this case, what will happen is, when I will select this alias, when I will ask total customer, it will give me 45.22. And when I ask total subscriber, it will still give me 45.22. That is also possible. So that is why we use this Q&A section. And the next thing is review questions. So in case of review questions, what will happen is, if I have some data set on Power BI service, that is Power BI web, and from there I want to analyze my data, then in that case I can use this review question section. Okay, the next section is teach Q&A. So if you want to teach your Q&A something, you can teach it from here. Let's say I created a new word called as subscriber and I want to see the result. So I can say give me the total subscribers. See, it's not working because the spelling is wrong. But when I submit this, you can see same. So whether you say total customer, whether you say total subscriber, everything would be same. Okay, so like this you can teach it, and based on that you can show the values. All the aliases or all the synonyms that you're going to create, it is going to appear here in your report. You can delete it from there also. And if you want to change the suggestions, you can change the suggestions from here. Okay, so total subscriber is a suggestion that I want to add. So I'll say add. Okay, then I'll say total subscriber by rating. That is my second suggestion. So I'll say not as bar but as pi. I'll add it. Then total subscriber by tenure. Okay, so in this case, I'll say as bar. Yeah. So if I type it correctly, it can give me the answer. You can see the suggestions. Suggestions are created. Now, when I click on save and when I close this window, now you saw a lot of blue color boxes. Now you will see only 3 blue color boxes because we have created our own suggestions. See, so those questions are gone now. Those were the default questions prepared by Q&A, but because of your new questions, now it is giving me only those questions. So when I click on total subscriber by tenure as clustered column, this is the answer that I get. If I click on total subscriber by rating as pi, this is my answer, like that. So in case of Q&A, all you have to do is prepare these suggestions. So these suggestions would be the common set of questions that are usually asked. Okay, usually asked by your I would say the managers or the management, so that they don't have to type these questions. These questions are available by default and they can answer those questions. Okay, that is the reason. Any questions here in Q&A? Anyone? Anyone? Anurag, Swapnil,
No.
Atul? Okay. I think the rest of the visualizations are done. One more thing is this slicer. I'll just show you how to create slicer because you have to solve this project. So basically slicer is used to filter the data. Okay. So whenever I want to create or whenever I want to use the slicer, whenever I want to create an on report filter, then in that case, I can use the slicer. Okay. So I'll just show you how to create a slicer. Let's say I take this rating column. Now this rating column has only 2 values, high and low. So the moment I take this rating column into my slicer, you can see automatically 2 checkboxes are created with rating high and low. So you can control all the settings from here. Since it is numeric, you can either have list or you can have drop down. When you click on drop down, you can see within the drop down, it will show you high or low. And second option for textual column is list. So in case of text, all the numeric values are shown in the form of text boxes. Now in here, if you want to get the select all checkbox, so for that you can go to this format option, selection control, and then selection control, you can select all option. So when you select that, you can see one more checkbox called as selector. Now this is the behavior of slicer for your textual column. But if I take a numerical column, let me show you a numerical column slicer. So when I take this slicer and when I add this tenure, now tenure is a numerical column. Okay. So in this case of tenure, you can see a different slicer is appearing. This is what we call it as between slicer. Since it is a numeric value, in case of numeric value, usually the range is huge. So in that case, creating so many checkboxes is not possible. So for that, we have this slider. So this slider, this is called as in between slicer because I can move the left hand side and I can move the right hand side. But if you want to change it to something else, you can also change it from here. Okay, so if you see here, this is the option. So I can click here, and from here I can have list and drop down. So list, all the values within this column are shown in the form of list. The second option that I have is drop down. So all the check boxes will appear in the form of drop down. So when I select drop down, this is the option. And the third option, which was created by default, was this between slider. Now let's say if you want to keep the left hand side fixed and you want to move the right hand side, then select less than or equal to. So when you select this, in this case, the left hand side is fixed to 0, you can move the right hand side. Okay. And if I select greater than equal to, then in that case, what will happen is it will fix the right hand side. You can move the left hand side. Okay. This is specifically used for filter. Okay. So you can create these slicers accordingly as per your numeric value or as per your textual value. Okay. So we'll see this in action in some time. Okay. Anyone, any questions so far? Anurag, Swapnil, Atul. Okay. So I think no questions. Okay. Moving on. Now we'll discuss one question from your project. Okay. So I'll just load the UK bank customer.csv file. In your first project, there is a question. There is a question by the name average balance based on age range. Has anybody solved that question? Okay, I think nobody has solved that. Okay, no issues. So in that case, the question is average balance based on age range. Okay, so if you have used balance and the age column, then you have created the wrong solution. Okay, so that is not the question. That the question is a bit different. For example, most of the people might have done this. So they might have taken a bar diagram. They might have taken the balance from here. So balance in the value section, then age in the axis section, and then average from here. Okay. So those of you who have done this, this is the wrong solution. Reason being is the question is not average balance by age or average balance by average balance based on age. The question is average balance based on age range. So in that case, we cannot use the age as the x-axis column. Here we are talking about the creating ranges. Here you don't have to use the age column. In fact, you have to use the range columns. Okay. So here you have to create the small groups of data, and then you have to use those group of data. Okay, so how to create those groups? We can create the groups by the data group option. So data group option is available at the column level. So now let's say I am at this age column and I want to create a data group. So to create a data group, click on this column. Okay, so you can do right click also. So just right click on this column and select new data group option. So here you will see one option called as new group. Okay, so just click on this new group. So then in this age column, there are two ways to create groups. One is called as bins and the other is called as the list. So what is this bin and what is this list? So let's say I have a group of values. So I give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I give you 6 values and I tell you to group these values in a group of 2 each. So what you will do is you will divide 6. You will divide these 6 values into 2 groups. So you'll create one group of 1 and 2, second group of 3 and 4, third is group of 5 and 6. So in this case, what happened is I told you the group size. So I told you create group of 2 each. Now the next same thing I can do it with another question also. In this case, I'm not going to tell you the group size. What I'm going to say is create 3 groups. still the answer is going to be the same. So what I said is create 3 groups. So that means you'll say, okay, 3 groups, 6 values. That means within each group, you should have 2 values. Okay. So this is what we call it as creating bins. So usually bins are created by the logic of group size or number of groups. For example, if I gave you 10 values and if I tell you create 5 groups, so you know every group will have 2 values, because 10 values divided by 5 is 2. The second thing, same thing I can ask you is, I have 10 values and create groups of 2 each. So in that case, obviously, again, same output. So you can either specify group size or you can specify the number of groups. Okay, this is how the bins are created. But problem with bins is, for example, if I create a bin for this, so this 1 and 2 will be actually replaced by 1. This 3 and 4 will be actually replaced by 3, and this 5 and 6 will be actually replaced by 5. So in this case, you will have 1, 2 stored here. Then you will have your 3, 4 stored here. And then you have your 5, 6 stored here. Like that. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is how the values would be automatically arranged. But in your output column, when you create the groups, you will have only 1, 3, 5. And you should remember which group is holding what type of value. This is what we call it as bins. The second type of group creation is what we call it as a list. So in case of list, what will happen is, since as the name suggests, list, so list will have range. So instead of storing 1 in the output column, I will say 1-2 is storing 1 and 2, 3-4 is storing 3 and 4, and 5-6 is storing 5 and 6. So since this is 1, 3, 5 in the output column, you will have a numeric column. And since here you have 1-2, 3-4, so the data type of this column will be text. That is why this is called as list and this is called as bin. Now how to create bins and list? You can create the bins and list from this same group column. You can see this group type column. So from this group type, I can specify bins or I can specify list. Now in case of bins, if you remember, I told you 2 things. Either you can specify the group size or you can specify the number of groups. So in this case, it automatically analyzes and it gives you the minimum value and maximum value here. So if you carefully observe, the minimum value here is 15 and maximum value is 64. That means your value between 15 to 64. So if you subtract the maximum minus minimum, the value comes out to be 64 minus 15, which is 49. And 49 is only divisible by 7. So in that case, what I can do is I can create either the groups of 7, 7 each. So I can specify here the number of bins to be 7. In that case, each bin will be of automatically size 7. Or I do the reverse way, I specify the size of the bin. In that case also the output is going to be 7. So I specify 7 here and I click on OK. So whenever you create data groups, like I said, a new column is created and that new column will store the groups. So in this case, this is not going to store a single value. In fact, it is going to store the group for you. Okay. So you can see here a new column is created called as age bins. So I click on this table here. You can see a new column is created. And if you carefully observe the value here, the values are 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. So what is that? So based on your minimum value, it has created the group. So the minimum group is for the minimum value is 14. Then in 14, then afterwards it has added 7, then 28, then 35, then 42, then 49, 56, and 63. So based on your group, it has created the bins. So here 14 actually means 14 to 20. 21 means 21 to 27. 28 means 28 to 34, like that. Because if you remember, I'll show you the old diagram which we can create based on age. So I take age in the axis, balance in the y-axis. This is how your graph was looking when you created average balance based on age. And now I will create average balance based on the new column that I've created, which is my age bins. So in that case, I will use same. So this is my cluster. So this is my average balance and this is my each bins. And then I will change the balance from sum to. See the difference here? So in this case, automatically based on your value, the bins are created. So this is the bin which is holding 14 to 20. Then afterwards, this is 21 to 27. Then this is 28 to 34 and so on. So this is not exactly a single value, but it is holding the group of values. Clear with this? Any question in the age bins? Age bins is a concept which comes from the data science. Okay. So in data science, in order to analyze the data or in order to process it in machine learning, what they usually do is they divide the data in bins. So bins is a numerical concept, okay, which we have used. You can call them as, also call them as groups. Okay. Any questions here? Anurag, Swapnil, Pooja? Anyone? Yeah, so this is the solution for your fourth question. Okay. Now, exactly similar to this, I can do one more thing. So that one more thing is your list. Okay. Now, in this case, you know, this is very difficult to understand, right? In case of this, I should remember what is 14, what is 21, what is 28. The second way of creating group is like this, where I clearly know 1 to 2 means 1 and 2, 3 to 4 means 3 and 4, 5 to 6 means 5 and 6. So if I want to create such groups, then I can create that with the help of list. So again, I will select age column, right click on that. I'll say create group, new group, and from the new group, I this time instead of big group type as bin, I will select list. So when you select list, you have your own freedom. You decide which goes where, and based on that, you can create the groups. So for example, I want to create groups of 7, 7 each, so 15 to 22, and then so on. Okay, so for that, I'll just say I'll select the 15 value here. Then I will press shift and I will select till 21. So this is how I will select it. I will group it. And then in the output column, this is the value that is going to come. So I don't want to put this value as my output. I want to put this value as my output, 15 to 21. Okay. So this is my second value. Next thing is 22 to 28. So I'll just group it, 22 to 28. Next is 29 to 35. So I'll just group it. Then 36 to 42. 36 to 42. Okay, just select the values using shift and create your own groups. Here there is no I would say fixed logic that I can only pick serial values. You can press control and you can put multiple values from multiple ranges also, but usually we go for sequence. That is why I'm showing you from sequence. So 43 to 49. Then 50 to 56. And then 57 to 64. Yeah. So this is the next group that I have. Now I click on OK. Now when you click on OK, whatever groups that you have created, this 15-21, 22-28, 29-35, 36, 42, 43, 49, 50, 56, and 57 to 64. These are the list values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 groups or these 7 list values you will actually see in a new column. Let me click on OK. And let's go to the data tab here. Okay, so now my group is created. So if you go to the data tab here in the age group section, like I told you, so these are the list of groups that are already created. Okay, so now these are the list of groups that you can use it to solve your question. Now I'll go to the next page. This time I will use this age groups column, which I've recently created. I'll go to this. I'll select balance and then age group. Now, if I want to sort it out, I'll just go here. I'll say sort by age groups. And then I'll say ascending. Yeah. And then instead of sum of balance, I will use average balance. Now, if you compare this visualization, which you see average balance based on age range and average balance based on age bins, they both are similar. You can see that very minute difference because of the group creation, but rest of the things, they are pretty much the same. Okay, so this is the solution to your fourth question. So in here, one important thing that I get here in case of age group is I can clearly read it. This is not age, this is age range 15 to 21, 22 to 28, 29 to 35, 36 to 42, 43 to 49, 50 to 56, 57 to 54. Very clear that this is not an age, this is in fact an age range. Okay, so that is the advantage that we get when you use the age groups, or I would say list option, because in case of list, since you are creating such age ranges, it becomes very easy to understand and it becomes very easy to analyze. Okay, that is one of the reasons. Okay, any questions here? Anurag, Swapnil, Atul? Yeah. Okay, so this is how you have to solve that question. Okay, so that is your average balance based on age range. Now there is a known visualization for this. Okay, so that known visualization is called as histogram. So histogram is actually used to study the data distribution. So if I want to do the same thing with the help of histogram, I can also do that. So for that, yesterday only we have seen how to get the visual. So click on three dots, click on get more visuals, and from here select the histogram. So search histogram here. You can see the histogram here. So I'll just click on histogram chart. I can click on add. Okay, so my visual is imported. Now, one important advantage that you get in case of histogram is you don't have to create the bins. Okay. So in here, if I take the balance here in the frequency, okay, let me take the age here. Sure. And let me take the balance here. in the frequency. So when you take age versus balance, I'll just change this to average. You can see automatically the data is grouped. So when you see this visualization, this will be exactly similar to what you have drawn, right? But in here, you didn't have to create the bins. Automatically, the bins are created. So you can see 15.0 to 19.90, then 24.80 to 29.70. So it automatically creates the bins in histogram. No need to create any additional column for that. That is the advantage that you get, okay? And this is how you can create the solutions. Now the next question that can come to your mind is, sir, we want to control the bin size. Not the bin size, we want to control the number of bins. So for that, select the histogram, go to format option, and from here in the general you will see one option called as bins. So in here, in case of this bins, just specify 7. The moment you specify the 7, this will exactly resemble to what you have created. See, this is what you have created by your groups, okay? And this is what has come from the histogram. Pretty much the same. Okay, so this is also one of the ways to solve that fourth question. So either use histogram visual or create bins or create groups. Okay, any questions? Okay, I think nobody has any questions. So now what you have to do is you have to prepare a dashboard which is shown in this image. Okay, so this is your second project. For this second project also you have to use the same P6 UK bank customer data. Okay, so this, all of the visualizations that are shown in this are already prepared, already created. The slicer one also I showed you today, so you can go through the recording to create the slicer. Slicer is something which we'll see in Tuesday's session in depth, but for now this much information is enough to create the slicer. That is why I have recorded it in this video, so that at least you can start working on the report. Okay, so this is the image. You have to create exact representation. Okay, within a single page you have to create this dashboard. Okay, you have to place the boxes exactly like this. The box size, their colors should match. If values in certain cases do not match, for of course I know the value in this visualization where my cursor is will not match, but in rest of the cases it should match. Okay, so that is how you have to prepare this dashboard. Okay, any questions on